seconds, and Tyler Shepardson is off and rolling with this week's episode of OTP.
Is this where the damn drumming and the music kicks in?
Yeah. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of OTP Tuesdays. We're back in your life, and today is Tuesday, February the 16th, 2021. I'm your host, as always, Tyler Shepardson, and we have an excellent show coming at you this evening. I'm actually really pumped up about the show. It was a really good one. We got a couple really good guests coming on, and by a couple, I mean three. We got Jonathan Johnson, who we're going to talk about here in just a moment. He won the Mid East Hare Scramble over the weekend. He's going to come on and talk to us about his year that he has planned in the XC3 class in 2021. And then we're going to be joined by teammates, roommates, world championship teammates, and fellow countrymen. Yes, we got both of them on the show tonight. Lyndon Snodgrass and Josh Strang both are joining us on the show tonight. Did an interview with them. We talked about doing it together. We talked about doing it separately. We talked about doing it on Call of Duty and recording it there, but we quickly shied away from that one because that one definitely would be the worst idea of it all. But we ended up doing them in separate interviews. So for those that don't know, Lyndon Snodgrass is a up-and-comer, relatively new to the U.S. off-road racing scene. We saw him race a couple races in 2019, and then he came in for most of the season last year. A little bit of complications there, had to miss some rounds. We're going to talk about that with Lyndon here in just a moment. But and then this will be his second full year, and he will be competing on a Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Factory Kawasaki alongside Josh Strang. So we talked to Josh Strang as well, but it's really cool to see that dynamic between the two of them, and it was cool to be able to talk to them back-to-back and get both of their takes on it, because Josh came over here with the help of Glenn Kearney and was able to realize his dream and ended up becoming a GNCC overall champion as he came over from Australia to race here in the U.S. And now that is exactly what Lyndon Snodgrass is chasing as he comes over from Australia. He's living with Josh. They're riding on the same team together, so they get to share some bike setup tips. They're sharing riding spots and working out together. And it was really cool to learn more about that. Yeah, I mean, those two guys, I ride with them, and like we mentioned, we play some video games together and talk to them quite frequently, and I even learned some things from both of them tonight. So I think it's really cool to be able to see that side of them, and I'm glad that both of them were able to make some time to talk with us, and I think you're going to like those interviews as well. So it is a stacked show coming at you, and with those interviews, I will try to keep this portion short so we can get right into it. First, thanks to our buddies over at Armored Graphics. Check them out, armoredgraphics.com, or you can find them on social media at Armored Graphics Inc. I think it's still Inc. If not, then it's at Armored Graphics. You can find them on our page, or if you just search for Armored Graphics, you'll be able to find them. But longtime supporters of the show, they are getting back into the off-road scene. There used to be a time not that long ago, really, like four or five seasons ago, if you went to a woods race, every other bike, if not more, was covered in Armored Graphics, and then they kind of stepped away from that for a little bit. They were doing the JGR Factory Suzuki team and kind of working with that kind of stuff, and then just went through some growing pains, I think really would be the best way to describe it. But they are back. They are a sponsor of the Mid East series. They will be a sponsor of my race series as soon as we announce that and give you those details of what I have going on this year with myself and my partner there. So Still be on the lookout for that. We just about have things buttoned up to where we can do an official announcement, but Armor Graphics will be our graphic sponsor for our race series that's going to be coming up. It's a GP race series. Like I said, I will let you guys know the information as soon as I am able to, but Armored will definitely be a big part of that. They designed our podcast logo, and they've helped out the podcast since the beginning. Helped with getting the OTP shirts made, which I still have a bunch of OTP shirts. I will be at Big Buck this weekend, and I will have a box full of OTP t-shirts. So if you want one, flag me down. I'll be the guy in an OTP t-shirt. That's how you'll be able to spot me. But yeah, be more than happy to get up with you. I'll have a pocket full of stickers too. So if you guys see me this weekend at Big Buck, more than happy to get you some stickers, and if you want a t-shirt, just let me know and we'll make it happen. But yeah, just wanted to give a quick shout out to our buddies over there at Armored Graphics. This past weekend, it was the first round of the Mid East Hare Scrambles. Now, racing in the Carolinas in the middle of February is hit or miss. A lot of times it is miss, and this weekend was no exception to that. There was a lot of rain. It was a very muddy race, but Bjorn Hamrick down there with the Mid East Hare Scramble Series, he pulled it off once again. They had a good turnout. They had a really good race and a really good racetrack given the conditions. So big shout out to Bjorn and Mid East for making it happen, going out there, not afraid of the mud, not afraid of getting dirty. They are going racing. There's three things you can count on in life: death, taxes, and that Mid East Hare Scrambles will be racing on their scheduled race days. And we saw that happen once again, but Jonathan Johnson goes down there, grabs the overall win, and I kind of talked to him about this, but Bjorn actually called me on the phone today as I was driving around for work, so I was speaking with Bjorn, and he told me that they made the decision to cut the race a little bit early because it started raining right when the pro bikes were about to go off. So he said he went up and approached the pro row and said, "Listen, guys, I think you're going to be running about a 20-minute lap time, a little over 20 minutes, and I think we're going to cut it to a 3-lap race and just make it a 3-lap race, and we'll all get out of here and not destroy our new equipment." And a week before Big Buck, and all the pro riders were okay with that, but Jonathan Johnson spoke up and said, "Oh, it's a 3-lap race?" He said, "I'll beat anybody for 3 laps." So he went out there and he did exactly what he said. He won that race. It was 3 laps. He comes out ahead over Ryder Lafferty, and then Kyle McDonald is going to be your third-place finisher on there. But there was a battle back and forth for the lead between Mike DeLosa and Jonathan Johnson. But, yeah, I just thought it was pretty cool that John had no shyness about speaking right up and saying, 3 laps? I'll beat anybody for 3 laps. Watch this. And he goes out and does it. So big congratulations to Jonathan Johnson. Was excited to be able to catch up with him. Local Carolina boy as well. They're from Landrum, South Carolina. He and his brother Brody. So cool to see Jonathan go out there and get that win. As we mentioned, Ryder Lafferty, he goes out there, grabs second place at the Mid East Hare Scramble, and then Kyle McDonald, who's out of New Jersey, he comes down and rounds out your Mid East podium. Cameron Sisk and Michael DeLosa are going to round out your top 5, and Zach Davidson right there in 6th place. But yeah, so that's the way that Mid East went. As far as I know, that was the only racing going on over the weekend, so it was cool to see that happening. But yeah, as mentioned, Mid East doesn't cancel. They were out there and they went racing, so I think that was pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, going into this weekend, it will be the opening round of the GNCC series over at Big Buck. It has been raining non-stop here. I'm a little bit over an hour away from Big Buck, so I'm in the Charlotte area of North Carolina, and it's been raining non-stop for what seems like 4 months. I know it hasn't been that long, but it has been raining a lot. Big storms that went through yesterday. Today was sunny and windy, and looking at the stuff that Jared Bolton's been posting, looks like that the sun and the wind really did wonders down there at Big Buck. The course is looking good. Last year, everyone was worried about going into the Big Buck race too, and it ended up being some of the best Big Buck dirt that we've ever seen. So I'm still remaining optimistic. I don't think at this point there's any chance of it getting canceled. I have no say in that. I don't know anything that you don't know, so that's just my educated guess. So it looks like we're going to go racing. It's supposed to be clear again and sunny tomorrow, but there is going to be a storm, a very bad storm, coming through on Thursday. So that is going to wet things back down a little bit, but hopefully it won't affect things much, because then it looks like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are all going to be good days of racing. So I think Big Buck can turn out to be very good once again. So I know everyone's thinking mutter. I don't even think it'll be that muddy. Depending on what happens on Thursday, I think the track should end up shaping out to be good. So, be cool to see. Let's see. Sorry, just going over some notes here and see if I'm missing anything. The morning race at the Mid East Hare Scramble, it was won by Rachel Goodish. So we've talked about Rachel for several weeks now in a row on the podcast. So, she goes out there and gets it done at the Mid-East race in the morning. She was racing that women's pro class. I'm trying to pull up the results here. I just know that she won it. I was trying to see who rounded out that podium. Looked like it was Michael Siggety and Matt Modi is who rounded out your podium there. Taylor Jones was down there. She was racing as the first time. No, she raced National Enduro. It's the second time that we've seen her in racing action since her off-season surgeries. She goes out there, gets second place in the women's pro class or the women's AB class, depending on which way you're looking at it. But yeah, Rachel Goodish goes out there, wins the morning overall by 8 minutes. 8 minutes. So they did 4 laps in the morning, and Rachel beat second place by 8 minutes. So awesome ride by her. Looking forward to see big things out of her this year. She's very accomplished and looks like she's been training very hard, and going into this season will be one to look out for sure in that WXC class. But other than that, not a whole lot going on in the off-road world. Nothing that we haven't talked about. We've kind of been through all the silly season stuff. Now we are a week out, so I think most of it is underway and most of it is out there. Looks like everything that we announced and kind of threw out there over the offseason all ended up coming to fruition, except for Andrew DeLong going to Sherco. So we were off about that, but it looks like everything else was spot on. So it's cool to see so many rides and so much support going on in the industry. It looks like Andrew DeLong, as I say that, is going to end up doing his own thing. Looks like he just bought a bike the other day. But yeah, the big changes is Grant Baylor and Evan Earl. They're on that same team. It's still supported by the same team, but that team switches from Kawasaki's to Gas. So Grant Baylor and Evan Earl will both be on Gas's this year. As you guys know, of course, Johnny Gerard and Ricky Russell, they both switched to Gas as Coastal switches from Husqvarna to Gas. Cody Barnes makes the moves over to Phoenix Honda. Joining him will be Tristan Landrum, also on a Phoenix Racing Honda. Brody Johnson and Jonathan Johnson and Jordan Ashburn all head over to now it's called the Magna One Motorsports team. It was the Land Mills team, but it is Magna One going into the year. And then Corey Buttrick signs with Factory Beta, so he'll be on that Factory Beta machine and back out joining us for some racing after missing last year. And Ben Parsons will also be on a Gas. So I think he will be on a Coastal Racing or Coastal supported Gas machine in that XC3 class, and all of that is adding to what will be the most stacked XC3 class we've ever seen. We talked about it in weeks past. Russell Bobbitt will be racing the first few on a 125. Trevor Barrett, a accomplished XC2 rider, former 2 or 3 time, I think 3-time North Carolina overall champion. He was a Mid East overall champion. I think he will be really good on a 125. He'll be racing this year in that XC3 class. Also, Dustin Simpson. Dustin Simpson is going to be joining a Teely Energy Racing supported and OTP On the Pipe podcast supported, and some support as well through our race series that we have coming up. So he'll be out there on an XC3 machine. He'll be racing KTM 125s. Trevor Barrett will also be on KTM 125s. So there'll be 2 additions to that XC2 class. Obviously, you got your defending champion, Zach Hayes, who will be out there. Jonathan Johnson. I mean, it's going to be the most stacked class that we've seen. Jack Joy, who was a very fast youth rider last year, got a couple youth overall wins and really battled for the win at a lot of the rounds last year. He'll be on a factory Sherco at that XC3 class, so it's going to be fun to watch. And then XC2, all of our XC2 riders, for the most part, will be returning. So we saw that battle come down to the wire with Johnny Gerard, Craig DeLong, and Mike Wachowski. They will all be back. Then you got Lyndon Snodgrass is in the mix. Liam Draper on that Teely Energy Racing KTM. He'll be in the mix as well. Jesse Ansley comes out, wins the National Enduro opening round. He'll be there. We mentioned Cody Barnes. Rui Barbosa, who is a very accomplished rider from overseas. He will be here racing a Phoenix Honda-supported machine. He'll be in that XC2 class. Brody Johnson, which, talking to Jonathan, it sounds like Brody's not back yet riding, but he will be in that XC2 class when he comes back. So a lot of competition. A lot of competition in all three of our classes. Of course, we'll see our XC1 returning riders. Josh Toth, who is coming off of a surgery, which is very unfortunate, but he will be out there racing. Thad Duvall is going to be coming back. Trevor Bollinger, we spoke with him last week. He won't be at Big Buck, but then we can expect to see him in Florida. We got Ben Kelly. He's back and mostly healthy, or healthy from what I understand. And Corey Buttrick is back. So we got Lane Michael, Jordan Ashburn. All those guys are returning. Josh Strang will be there. So it's going to be an excellent weekend of races, and I think we're going to learn a lot here at this first round in XC1, 2, and 3, as well as our WXC classes. So I'm excited for it. It looks like one of the most stacked years in every single pro class that we've seen in quite some time, and I think it's going to be some really good racing. I think with Caleb being gone, and this will be the first time that everyone's lining up for the season opener without Caleb, so I think everyone knows that they all have a shot at winning this thing. And I mean, everyone did have a shot at winning it before, but when you're talking about someone on the edge of repeating for the 8th time in a row, that weighs into it. So this time, it's just everybody out there going for the win and starting this campaign to the 2021 championship, and I am excited. I'm all about it. I will be down there in Union, South Carolina this weekend at the Big Buck GNCC, but for right now, we're going to get things rolling and move into these interviews and probably just keep them all rolling for you. But thanks for tuning. Thanks for listening. As always, be a friend, tell a friend. If you like the show, if you like what we have going on, we're going to keep them coming out every single Tuesday. Let somebody know if they don't already know about OTP. We're going to be having the top name folks on here every single week to talk to them and chat with them about the race, and then also give you results and stuff over the weekend. So whatever you're listening to this on, please subscribe, whether it's YouTube or if you're listening on Stitcher or on Apple or Google Play, wherever you're at, just do me a favor, subscribe to the show. That way you'll get updates when new shows come out. We're going to be doing a lot of exciting things this year, and I want you guys to all be a part of it. So if you like what we're doing and you want other people to hear it, by all means, let them know. Share our post, do that kind of stuff if you don't mind. And, looking forward to growing together and looking forward to a great season of racing and bringing you all the action that I can here with On the Pipe podcast. Anyway, we'll get to the rest of these interviews. I hope you guys have a good rest of your days, and we'll see you this weekend, GNCC Round Uno. Anyway, so we'll move on to our next guest of the evening, Magna One Motorsports rider Jonathan Johnson. He'll be making the move into XC3 this year, fresh off of a Mid East Hare Scramble win over the weekend in a muddy slop fest. Your Mid East points leader, Jonathan Johnson. How's it going today?
Doing good. Just got done eating, sitting here at the house.
Good deal. So, I mean, first, we just mentioned that you went out there, you won the first round of Mid East this past weekend. It was a muddy mess, raining during the race, and it's right down the road from where we're supposed to be racing at this weekend at Big Buck. How did the race go over the weekend, and how were you able to get that win?
It went pretty good. Got off to a pretty bad start. I think there was like 10 pros. But, caught up quick and took the lead pretty early, and from there, kind of tried to sort of run away with it, but we both got me and Michael DeLosa was leading at the time, and we both sunk them mud holes, both of us sitting side by side, and but I was able to dig it out, and Ryder Lafferty caught and passed us, and kind of just slowed down from there, and tried to ride a little smarter, figure out some lines, because it was like you say, it was really nasty, and just tried to find some smoother lines, get off the track a little bit, out of the ruts, and was able to just pick better lines.
Thanks. So last year, Mid East opened up at the same exact place, and it was pretty much the same exact conditions. I raced last year in that first Mid East race. I wasn't able to make it down there this year. How did the track compare to between last year and this year?
I didn't really get to compete the whole time last year. I only made about 2 laps, but this year, I was able to do the whole thing, and I felt like it got a lot rougher. A lot more holes and stuff you could just bury your bike in. You had to be a little smarter and ride off the center line. You couldn't just run it off in any hole. You'd be sitting there for the rest of the race.
Dang. And you mentioned only 2 laps last year that you did. This year, the whole race was only 3 laps, 1 hour. What happened there? What was the call with? I spoke with Bjorn earlier today, actually. But when did he let you guys know about it switching to a 3-lap race?
He come up to us, right before me and Ryder and Michael was sitting there under the tent, and he come, rolling up and told us right before we went to the line. He said, "I'm just going to call it a 3-lap race. If that's fine with everybody." And we just kind of all agreed, that's fine. No sense in trashing our new bikes for the first race.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I mentioned, he called me earlier today. I was driving down to South Carolina, and he told me something, and I promised him I was going to ask you. I told him that you were going to be on the show this evening. He told me that you said that you could beat anybody for just 3 laps. He said you reiterated that to him. He said, "You make it 3 laps, I'm going to go out there and win this race."
Oh, yeah, he told me I was going to make it 3 laps. I told him I could beat anybody for 3 laps.
And then he thought that was the funniest thing. He said he went out there and he did it.
Yeah, Bjorn, he gets a kick out of it, messing with him. He's a good guy.
Yeah, so that was awesome, man. Able to go out there and grab the win. Obviously, you're no stranger to those Mid-East wins and Mid-East podiums. It's our local series down here and one that you frequent quite often. So it's got to feel good to grab the season opening win and getting everything shaked out as far as heading into the GNCC season. But the weekend before, I think it was the weekend before, Sumter National Enduro,
yeah.
You came out there guns blazing. I was following along with live time, and you go out there, have a good start to your day. Then what happened?
I let myself run out of gas. Made it 23 miles, and she was out.
Dang. So was that in the second test or the third test?
That was in the beginning of the third test. She ran out of gas.
Gotcha. So,
yeah,
I mean, do what?
You go ahead.
I was going to say, so Mid-East, grabbing that win, I mean, it was a sloppy, muddy race, and those mud races can be up for grabs at any time. Sumter was in really good condition. A lot of people saying it's the best Sumter conditions that we've seen, and you go out there and you get the early lead. Obviously, didn't go your way with the whole gas situation, but what did that do for your confidence to go out to Sumter and prove that among those top guys, you have what it takes to put down those fastest times?
Yeah, I knew coming into the race that it was going to be a pretty good day. I was feeling good and liking the bike, the new Husky. It's doing good, and Chris, everything that he's doing for us really helps out. So I was excited to get it going, but I was I don't know. I think I just got too excited winning the first 2 tests, just making sure leading the brakes and checking over the bike, and just didn't think nothing about the gas. I figured I could make it to the gas stop, but didn't realize I hadn't had much time on the 250, and just forgot to put gas in it. No big tank, and just straight up forgot.
Thanks. So did you have a big tank on it, or was it a stock tank?
It was a stock tank. If I'd have had a big tank, I'd have been fine, but just stock tank.
Gotcha. Now, speaking of that new bike, you're with a new team this year, that Magna One Motorsports team. We've seen them in the past as the Land Mills team, if I'm not mistaken. They're kind of transitioning into it. What's your plans for this year? I mean, how did all that come together, and what's your plans for 21?
I really didn't have much of anything at the end of this year. No offers really, and Jacob Fetty called me as I was sitting in Kentucky hunting, and he pretty much just said, hey, Chris had kind of wanted to help out, and told me to give him a call, and I did. Chris has really helped out, got us some bikes, and put us on a good team. So
Chris Landers
should be a good year. Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Sweet. And so the plan, if I'm not mistaken, is XC3 for the season, right?
Yes, sir. I'm going to try to race XC3 and Pro 2 at the National Enduro.
Gotcha. So right now we've been seeing you on a 250F Husky, and that's what you're racing National Enduro and everything on. Do you have a 125 now, or how much time have you put on a Husky 125, if any?
I have not. I've got 1 hour on it. Half of that's idling time.
Dang.
So yeah, we're going into it pretty blind here.
So, I mean, once you get on the 125 and you start putting in motos and obviously racing GNCCs, is the plan to stick on 125s for the rest of the year, or are you going to be switching back and forth to the 250F for the National Enduros?
Yeah, probably just race the 125. See how it goes. I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty decent with, switching bikes and stuff like that. I think I can make it work with just racing the 125 at the Nationals and just practicing and racing Pro 2 on the 250.
Gotcha. So racing the 125 GNCCs and then practicing and putting the time and National Enduros and everything on the 250F. I mean, we've seen you go out and race all colors, sometimes mixing gas, sometimes not mixing gas in years past. So to get on that Husky team and be racing XC3 and switching back and forth and racing National Enduro, I'm sure that's going to be a heck of a ride for the year. Now, going into the XC3 class, in years past, we've seen where it's been one person dominate or maybe two people battle back and forth for the wins. I think this year is going to be probably the most stacked XC3 class that we've ever seen. I mean, you're going to be running it. I think Zach Hayes is going to be running it. Ben Parsons is going to be running it. Some other local XC2 guys that Trevor Barrett, I think he'll be out there running it. Dustin Simpson. I mean, it seems like this is going to be the first year that there's multiple people that can go out there and win it. How does that make you feel going into the season? Does that excite you and kind of light you up?
Yeah, it makes it more interesting for sure. More competition's better, and glad to see it growing for sure.
Thanks. So, as far as your comfort level, you said that you only got an hour on your 125, but you've ridden several 125s in the past. How do you feel overall on a 125? I've rode the last 125 I rode was, I don't know, a year and probably 2 years ago at the last Mid East, or the first Mid East, and it's probably the last 125 I really rode. Other than that, it's been 250s, but I adapt pretty well to a 125. I like riding them, and I think it's going to be a good year. So was XC3 this year, was that something that was your choice, or was that something that they were looking for an XC3 rider? How did that come about?
Kinda. I mean, it really wasn't my choice. I'd rather be on a 250 for XC2, but that was kind of what I think, kind of just pretty much all I had, and so Chris, offered to fill the spot. He already has Brody for XC2, so he needed a XC3 rider, so I was able to fill the spot.
Good deal. Talk about making lemonade, looking to see you make some lemonade out of that situation this year. And like I mentioned, it's going to be a good XC3 class, and I think that's somewhere where we can see you do well, and I'm happy to see you get some support and still be out there at the races. And you mentioned your little brother Brody. Obviously, he had a heck of a season last year. He'll be moving to XC2 this year. Y'all got a little brotherly bet going on, a little trash talking in the house about now you'll be starting a row behind him on a 125. You guys got any stipulations on what happens if you catch him or beat him, or any sibling rivalry going on?
No, not really. Nothing yet. He's got to get back to riding, and of course I want to catch him, pass him, but that's we just got to see. He's got to get back to riding first. We got to get him back in shape.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, coming off of an injury, but no doubt we'll be excited to see both of you guys back out there and back on the line this weekend. And looking forward to the rest of 21 and seeing you race.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know it's going to be a fun year. Chris is helping out a lot with Magnum One and all of our sponsors, so it's going to be a good year, I believe.
Good deal. And real quick before I let you go, you mentioned Jacob Fetty earlier. We talked about Jacob a lot. I mean, you and Brody were both on the show last year, and one thing that you guys both mentioned was Jacob Fetty and him helping you out and training you. And then when we all got together, when you guys were riding bikes down to Florida, obviously Jacob was involved in that. How's that program been going with him? And obviously it sounds like you're still you'll be working with him again in 21?
Yeah. Jacob's helped us out a ton. Without him, definitely wouldn't be in the shape I'm in. That's for sure. He helped us out a lot coming into last year, and same thing this year. Pretty much stuck to the same routine, but it's our second year with him, so I think it's going to be a better year, and I just have to wait and see how it goes. He's really good.
Good deal. And his whole hi-fi coaching program and podcast he's got going on is a lot of useful information, and we've seen that pay off for you and Brody and several other riders throughout last year and going into this year. So yeah, I just wanted to ask you about that. But Jonathan, man, I appreciate you taking some time out and talking to us, and good luck with your 21 season.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man. We'll talk to you later.
You too.
All right, so we're going to go to our next guest of the evening. He rides for the Babbitts Online Monster Energy Kawasaki team. He is a former ISDE World Champion and an ISDE overall test winner, which I think is awesome. XC2 competitor on the year with 7 Warzone wins and 24 Resurgence Warzone wins. Pretty impressive. Lyndon Snodgrass. Lyndon, how's things going tonight?
Yeah, it's going good. Thanks, man. I mean, yeah, the Warzone stats they're nothing shy of impressive. So sounded good with the Call of Duty stats coming out.
Well, as 1/4 of the North Australians, our Call of Duty regiment, I got to break out the Warzone stats, man.
Yeah, that's cool. I appreciate that.
A hefty part of the training program. But, I mean, getting right into it, I do got to ask, was it a cooler feeling to win an overall test at the ISDE or win back-to-back games of Warzone?
Probably the ISDE test was probably cooler. I mean, the coolest thing about that was it was actually my first ever ISDE.
And it was the
week,
first test of the first day, right?
Yeah. I still haven't won another one since, but I mean, I'll take it.
I mean, to start out 1-0, I mean that's a good time to go ahead and get it done. But go ahead.
I had the overall lead for the 6th day in 2017 for about an hour until we got to the next test. So
on the junior team.
Yeah, but
man,
it all went downhill from there. But I mean, it was cool.
So I've asked you about that before, but I got to ask you again for the show. Walk us through that. I mean, that's got to be an absolute unreal feeling to be at your first ISDE, and this is 2017, so your first ISDE, your first test on your first day, and you get the overall win. How did that go? Like, what happened?
Yeah, I'm not even sure, to be honest. I think I was a junior team, so I was riding an E3 bike, so I was way back on the start, and I think maybe it was a little bit slippery when the top guys got there, and then so I was a little bit further back. I got some good lines and stuff, and then honestly, I didn't even think I'd rode that well, and then I looked at the time at the end of the test, and I was like, oh dang, I won that thing. And then, but I mean, yeah, it didn't last long. Like the next test, I got pumped. So, but and I struggled that 6 days actually. I had a few like good tests and stuff, but I never really put in any good days. So, but it was good. It was a good learning year.
Well, and then you fast forward to 2018. You move up. You're on the World Trophy team. That's the year that Australia won it. Strang was actually on that team as well, but you were forced to exit on day 2. What happened in 2018? Why the abrupt end to your week there?
Yeah, that was a bit disappointing, to be honest. I mean, like the first day, I felt alright. I don't think I put in that great of a result. But then, like day 2, I was starting to feel a little bit better, and then we got to like the halfway through the day checkpoint, and Team Australia decided we should do oil changes. So, like I didn't even really want to, but anyway, so I think that mechanics are allowed to like do your drain bolt and stuff if it's like for oil or whatever. So I pulled the skid plate off, and then the mechanic was doing the drain bolt, and then I guess he never wrenched it back up again. And like I went into the next test, and then I think I only made it about halfway around the next test, and it locked up because it had no like drain bolt in there, so lost all my oil.
Man, that's got to be such a devastating feeling, especially everything that goes into the preparation for one, and on day 2 to be forced to exit with a mechanical that sounds like it was out of your control.
Yeah, I mean, it sucked. I mean, well, maybe I could have checked it or done something myself, but I mean, I was trusting that guy, and it's just the way it went. I can't do nothing about it now, but it was disappointing, but it was cool that we still, because like, luckily with the World Trophy team, you're allowed to drop one rider, so like the other guys kept going, and they were still in the race, so they were lucky to get through with no other problems, and yeah, we were able to still win as a team, which was cool.
Yeah, so how did the rest of the week go for you? Did you stay along and help out and still be a part of everything throughout the rest of the week, or how was that?
Yeah, I was still helping out. Like I'd get up every morning and help everyone out and go to the tests and stuff. But yeah, as far as that, it was pretty boring for me. But I mean, I still got to check it all out, and I helped out as much as I could, I guess. And then yeah, I mean, sort of got to relax a little bit more and went out and I wouldn't say party, but just went out and socialised a little more, so that was cool.
Yeah, and then still the end result, Australia won the team championship that year, so you were on that world championship team, which I'm sure is a cool stat to have and a cool memory to have.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. I don't feel like I entered as much because I only did as like 1.5 days riding, but still, like it's pretty cool that I got to be a part of it. And yeah, honestly, like those guys were riding awesome, so it was kind of cool to watch them and I guess just see what those guys were doing. So instead of just being out there racing against them.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, getting on from the ISD stuff, and obviously you had some success or a lot of success back in Australia. You come over last year, 2020, your first campaign, if I'm correct, over here in the U.S. What brought you over here? Like, what made you make the decision to go ahead and make the leap and come over here and race GNCC and the sprints and everything else?
Well, I actually come over in 2019 and did 2 races, and I liked it. And then I've been doing the same stuff. It's the AORC series at home that like all the pros do, and like I'd been doing that for years, and I wasn't bored of it, but it was just kind of the same thing. So, and then I kind of like like a cross country style race, like a 3-hour race over a sprint. I mean, I've been doing sprints basically my whole career or whatever, because like in Australia, it's either they'll have like a cross country on the Saturday if the conditions are good, and then they'll have like a sprint on the Sunday. So I don't know. I kind of felt like I was over the sprints a little bit. So and then I wanted to do the GNCCs because they're 3-hour cross countries, and that's kind of like, I don't know. I kind of like that style of racing a little bit better. So that was the main move, and obviously just to change it up, something different. And yeah, so I come over in 2019, did a couple races, and thought this is pretty fun. So yeah, come over here last year. Got over here in January, and yeah, spent a couple of months here, and then obviously COVID and all that stuff come about when I was trying to sort my visa out. So I ended up having a few troubles with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the main reason was, other than just I was excited to try some GNCC races and just see what it's like over here.
Yeah, and we'll get into the COVID stuff with the visa stuff here in a minute, but you mentioned Josh Strang. Josh Strang obviously did the same thing that you did. He came over here quite a while ago and came over here, went GNCC racing, ended up winning a GNCC overall championship. So, I mean, he's someone that's gone through that and done that same thing, and now you kind of have him as a mentor. You're living with Josh, you're training with Josh, and you guys are that Babbitt's Online Cowie team together. So how did that relationship come about, and like how did you have it sorted to come over here and stay with Josh?
Yeah, well, I actually first met Josh at the 6 days in 2018 in Chile. So yeah, I guess I met him there, and then I come over and in 2019 and stayed with him for a little bit, and then yeah, I was talking to him about coming over, and he said, yeah, you should. That was last year. So I got over here, and then it's been good living with him and training with him and stuff, because like obviously he's been at it doing the same stuff for like 10 years or more, nearly. So
more than that, he won his championship 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's experienced, and he's been riding all these tracks, for all that time. So it's good to learn off him and see what he has to say about stuff. And I don't know. And if I'm feeling a little bit off at a practice track or something, I can just watch him and see what he's doing. And it's just good to sort of learn from each other. And yeah, I mean, I can't complain where I'm at, so it's good.
Yeah, for sure. And as you mentioned, Josh has been here and been in the area for a while, so kind of knows the local tracks and where to go and where to train at. And like I said, he's been through it all before. So, I mean, how much do you think that benefits you to have a guy like that to bounce things off of and to show you around and take you riding and all that, versus if you just came over here and, just got a place on your own and just tried to do it yourself?
Yeah, it'd be almost too hard just to do it yourself. I mean, you need to have some connections over here and stuff, and just for like training and getting on tracks and stuff during the week. So, I mean, with Josh, it's mad because he's got so many connections and places to ride, and yeah. So, whatever the conditions are like or whatever, we drive a few hours, and if it's too wet, we'll drive a few hours and ride some sand, and he knows a few sand spots. So, I mean, it's cool. Like, if I didn't have him, I'd be I wouldn't be lost. Like, there'd be other people, but it's just, it makes it a whole lot easier just living with Josh and riding and training with him.
Yeah, for sure. And so last year you come over, you win the first sprint by a good bit, and I think that kind of turned a lot of eyes towards you when that happened. And then you go out, you get a couple top fives at the first 3 rounds of the GNCC. I know there's a DNF at the second round, but a couple top fives, and then you ended up having to go back to Australia for visa purposes. Kind of walk us through that, because I think that's a time that COVID got in the way of you coming back over in time, right?
Yeah, so, obviously the first few GNCCs I was still kind of learning a little bit. Actually, at Big Buck last year, I got a pretty bad start, and then I guess I was still learning the tracks and whatnot. So, I got a 5th there, which I wasn't all too upset with. And then in Florida, I felt like I could have gone pretty decent that day, but I actually had a crash on the first lap and kind of jacked my back up a little bit. I did some compressed a few discs in my back, and it was kind of hard. Like I didn't think I rode in between there and the next round in Georgia, and then that was the last one I did before I went home. So, and then I remember that the one in Georgia, my back was so sore. So I was I was trying, but like it was just tough. So, but yeah, I got a couple of fifths or whatever, and I mean that was cool, but I wasn't all that satisfied with it. And then yeah, I had to go home because of the COVID, and that was like I was meant to only go home for like a few weeks at max, but then sort of right as the COVID hit or whatever, they shut like the main place for where you go and get a visa at back home.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to stay here. They shut that down, and they didn't open it up for months, so it kind of sucked.
So then you finally make your way back, and like I said, it's such a inopportune time because of all the COVID stuff going on, but you make your way back, and then you get an 8th at your first round back, which, if I'm not mistaken, that was with limited time back on the bike, and then a 4th and then a 10th before you come out and have your ride there at Ironman. What was it like coming back and getting back into the swing of things after being home for longer than you expected to be?
I mean, it was tough when I first came back. I mean, the first race back, I had a few struggles but I felt like I probably should have done better, but maybe I just didn't have enough bike time or whatever. Anyway, whatever it was, I ended up sucking. But when I was back home, I wasn't getting to ride at all or whatever. I was working for my dad, so I mean, I couldn't really complain. Like, it is what it is. I come back and went straight into the race and sucked. So, and then I started feeling better after a few more weeks of riding, and then where we go from there? We went from that one, and then I think I got a 4th, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then that was good. I was starting to feel better. And then we went up to West Virginia for that round. I think it was it
the Boy Scout place, I think.
Anyway, whatever the next round was, I felt good, and I think I was in 3rd or whatever, and then there was 2 laps to go, and it was that real dusty one, and I decided not to stop for an air filter, and then I was hoping that we'd be able to make it the whole race, but yeah, sort of didn't pan out that way, and I ended up pulling off at the 2-lap card, and I think I was still in 3rd when I pulled off, which kind of sucked, but so I think I ended up 10th or whatever with the amount of laps I did. And then yeah, we went up to Ironman, and that was good. Like, that track kind of suited me a bit, I guess, and I was looking forward to it. And then ended up putting in a good ride there. So, I mean, I was pretty happy with that. And then finally, just after Ironman, I finally was able to head home and sort my visa out for like the first time. So that was cool to do that. And then so now I'm back here and ready for Big Buck this weekend, and so I can stay here until like 2025 now, so don't have to worry about going home, so that's good.
Yeah, good deal. And I just want to go back to that Ironman race. You get second, you're up towards the front, you're battling back and forth for the lead, you're really in it for the win there, in between a championship battle actually, but you get second, you run up front. Was that, in your opinion, like in your mind, did you come out of that race thinking, all right, that's exactly where I know I should be, or did you come out thinking like that was just a good race?
No, like, I knew all along I should be battling for a podium, and then like the race before where I didn't finish, I ended up 10th or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like I should have been on the podium that day too, but obviously it's not the way it went. And then so like I knew I had a good chance at it, and then I don't know, I just like it ended up at Ironman. It ended up being like a 5-way battle for 2 hours, and then it was like in the last hour or so, I think me, Craig, and Mike, I think, sort of broke away a little bit, and then it was just, and I don't know. Well, Johnny actually had a crash in front of me, and his bike actually, when he crashed, flicked up and hit me in the head, and then like Craig got a bit of a gap there, and then I think I was behind Mike after that, and I put my head down and caught up to him, and I think I got by him. He gassed, I think. And then I just put my head down on the last lap to try and bridge that gap that Craig had us. But I think I got it back down to like 7 seconds or something. So got it close, but not close enough.
And that was Craig that won that one?
Yeah, Craig, he won Ironman. So,
Gotcha.
But no, I mean, it was my first podium, and it was fun to be battling with those boys. So hopefully more of that this year. And yeah, but as far as the Ironman track, that was honestly one of my favorites, I guess, that I got to do last year. So that was cool.
Oh, yeah, that place is perfect conditions, perfect dirt, and you'll get 2 tries at it this year, and they're doing one in the summer, which I'm pretty excited about because usually Ironman is freezing cold, and a lot of times it can be muddy, so it'll be cool to have one in the nice weather as well. But, I mean, you go out there, you show what you're capable of. I mean, like we mentioned, the XC2 battle for the championship was coming down to that day. You show that you have the speed to lead the race. You show you have the speed to battle with those guys, and you beat everybody but Craig on that day. And as I mentioned, XC2 is stacked, and we're going to see every single person come back. So there's no one moving up this year. Everyone's coming back to XC2, including you. And you have this whole off season. You've been riding. You've been preparing. What is your goals? What have you kind of set out for yourself? What are you looking to do in 21?
I mean, the goals is just do more of that Ironman stuff. I guess be battling with those guys. I want to be battling every weekend, and like I want to be in the championship hunt. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna go give it 100% every round, and yeah, just see where it ends up. But I feel like I should be battling for the podium, and I feel like I should be in the championship battle. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, after this weekend, we'll have a bit clearer understanding of where everyone's at. So, but yeah, like to say the least, I'm excited, and I can't wait to go racing.
Yeah, absolutely, man, and I agree. And I'm looking forward to the big rides out of you, and you've proven you're capable. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to a good year, and hope to see you up there on that podium as well.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
But yeah, dude, like I mentioned, appreciate you coming on, giving us a little bit of your time. Obviously, we'll be going racing this weekend. In the meantime, we'll be killing people on Call of Duty. But yeah, like I said, just thanks for taking the time out and coming on the show, and wishing you luck into this weekend and through the season.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yep. See ya.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, so we're going to go to our final guest of the evening. He is a former GNCC overall champion, a full gas champion, an ISDE world champion, and he will be returning on a Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Factory Kawasaki, Josh Strang. Josh, how's it going today?
Yeah, good, man. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. A little cold, but hanging in there.
Yeah, not cold and wet.
Yeah, I just got done washing my bike, and I think I'll thaw out in 1 to 2 business days.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of bike washing the last couple of months.
Oh, yeah. But I guess the good part about riding in sand is that it's a pretty easy wash for the most part.
Yeah, it's been a bit of sand with also a bit of clay, so it's just never ending. You think we just race on the weekends, but the work never stops for us. So it's been busy. It's been a busy couple of months, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that's what happens. It's that time of the year. We're right back into it. We're just a few days away from going back GNCC racing and everything kicking off, and then it's really high gear from there. Before we get into it, though, I got to point it out. I called out. We talked about all your accolades beforehand. I mentioned Lyndon's as well. We just got done talking to him. And I threw in the Warzone wins. So we got to throw in your 24 Warzone wins, 30 Resurgence wins, both of them more than Lyndon's. So we had to throw them out there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the veteran player, I guess. That's why I have more wins than Lyndon. I'm the veteran player. But, no, Lyndon's our housemate at Cameron, and Cameron and I put him under the roof. So he's in that same house. So whenever we get a spare minute or have some time off, he's in his room and I'm in the spare room, and we're gaming it up with a bit of Warzone. So it's a bit of fun. It can also be really stressful, depending on how my internet's working. And then no, it's a bit of fun. We enjoy it, and yeah, we're not real good. Anyone that's listening, we're not real good.
But we try, and that's what matters.
That's right, we do.
But one thing that I did want to talk to you about that. So we talked about Lyndon, how he's coming over and staying with you, and really has you in to bounce ideas off of and really learn from what you went through. How has it been on the other side of that? So we kind of talked to Lyndon about having someone there to kind of be that role model and help out and with places to ride and just things that you've gone through in the past. What's it like for you to have someone coming in, I mean, second year over here in America, trying to make the dream happen? How's it been from your side of it and seeing, I guess, his career starting over here in the U.S.?
Yeah, we love having him. It's not even myself. Cameron loves having him at the house too. You know, he plays with Maverick. Maverick seems to think that he's got a best friend in the house with him all the time. So he annoys the crap out of Lyndon. Maverick does, and we appreciate that because Lyndon treats him like a little brother or whatever, and plays with him. So we appreciate him being there. But I mean, as far as the riding goes, when I came over, Glenn helped me out and took me under his wing, and he helped me have a chance or have a shot, you know, at doing this over here. So I felt, as I've been over here for a while now, I just feel like I wanted to give back and if someone else wanted to come over and have a shot at it or have a crack at it, I wanted to be able to try and help someone. And Lyndon last year, or the end of 2019, wanted to do something, so I was like, well, come over and have a go. And now he got a full ride for this year, so it's cool to see him progress and get a ride to have a proper go at the series this year. And I mean, as far as during the week practicing goes, so I feel like I can help him as far as when we get to the tracks and picking lines and some of the other stuff. But during the week practicing, I believe he is helping me because we're 10 years apart, I think, and he's still that young kid who just wants to go balls to the ball all the time. And so for me to keep up during the week practicing or try and beat him, I really have to be on my A game, which I believe stepped up my program as well. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, kind of seen that firsthand with, one of you guys starting with a little bit of time and the other one try to chase him down and vice versa. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you is how having him around it has helped you. Because, I mean, in the past, I'm sure you're always riding with people still, and even now riding with Lyndon and Corey Buttrick's been out there with you guys a good bit. But now it's got to probably be easier for you than calling everyone in your phone book and trying to find someone and pick a place to ride and meet up versus having them downstairs at your house. You guys load up the van and go to the same spot and ride and push each other. So, yeah, that's one of the things I was going to ask is how much you think that's been helping you with your preparation going into this year.
Yeah, it has helped, like you said, having him at the house and not having to try and find someone to ride with every day. Every time I want to go ride is good. And I think more than that is the intensity of the riding or the quality of the riding that I get now, instead of maybe going with a buddy or whatever. And I'm trying to do motos just by myself. Now I almost always have someone where we can get specific motos done, whether they're longer motos or short sprints or whatever. We can always, I guess, go head to head during the week, and I believe that's where you get you get your speed and your intensity from. So it's a lot harder to get it if I was doing it by myself. So for me, I pushed for Lyndon to be on the team a little more for my self benefit or whatever you want to call it, because I believed I would benefit out of him being at my house and being able to train with him too. So I think for Kawasaki, it's a win-win. You get a young kid who's fast. I believe the fastest in that class. And then I feel like he can help me get podiums and race wins in the big class as well. So I think it's going to be a good year.
Dang, and that's high praise right there. You being a former champion and been racing GNCC. What season is this going to be for you coming up?
I think it's 15th season, and then I had the one season in 2012 on the West Coast. So I guess 14 GNCC seasons and one. So yeah, 15 years in the US racing, which is, man, it's crazy. It doesn't feel like that long, but then when you think about it's just been it's a blur, really. Crazy that it's been 15 years already.
Yeah. So, 15 years and everything that you've seen in between that, and here you are saying that you think Lyndon is the fastest one in that class, and so, I mean, that's got a lot of praise right there. But as far as you're concerned and going into this year, obviously you have a great season last year by anyone's standards. I mean, 9 podiums, a couple wins, ended up second place on the season. What's your mindset like coming into 21 and being right there all last season up until you got hurt? And I know that kind of took away a little bit there, but just coming into the season, knowing that you were in the hunt and knowing that you're right there and that you still got the speed, and 15 years later, like you mentioned, still up there in that championship contention, and now you even got a little bit more help and more training throughout the week. What's your mindset like coming into 21?
I think it's the same as every year. I mean, like you said, I've been doing it for a long time, and it's not like I spent 3 or 4 years not trying to win. I was always trying to win. It's just harder than.
Oh yeah.
It was obviously harder than I wanted it to be. I wish I could have won more races and more championships, but I believe that at this stage in my career, I'm just as competitive, if not more competitive, and a better rider than I was back when I won the championship. So, I mean, I feel confident that I can be on the podium every weekend, and then and get in race wins as well. So, I feel like the time off in January, February, December, January, February has been good, and I've been riding fairly well. So hang on. We're live on the podcast, but I'm trying to reverse a camper. I'll get back to you.
No worries. I'd rather you take care of that and not run that camper into any poles or fences.
Oh shit! Look at that. Didn't even have to have a second go at it. Straight in.
So one thing
I'm good to go now.
Oh, no worries. But one thing that you kind of talked about in the past, and I think now we're in the stage where we're not going to bounce things back to the whole Caleb thing, but this will be the first year without him. And one thing that you've talked about in the past is kind of the race IQ that he has had. I think now, and I don't think there's a person out there that doubts what you were saying as far as you being a podium guy and right up there for the championship. I think that's what everyone is expecting. But as far as that race IQ, I mean, you are a former champion and you do have years of experience. Do you feel like your race IQ and your ability to manage a race and know when to go and when to kind of maintain, do you think that you have the upside mentally against your competition there?
I mean, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see, won't we? No, I believe I'm a good racer, and in the end, I mean, like, I'll go back and say again, I've been doing it for so long. If I have a bad weekend or get beaten, I'm enjoying the ride at the moment. So for me, that's the better thing. But if it came down to a last lap battle where I was in it for the win, I believe I'm outriding whoever I'm battling. So I mean, I don't know if that comes off as cocky, but I just enjoy, that's the part of the racing I enjoy. A last lap battle. And I mean, if I didn't come off as the winner, then it is what it is. But I believe I could do it. The guys I'm racing, and I don't know, man. That's a tough one.
Yeah, no,
but,
that doesn't come off cocky at all. I don't think anybody would make it this long as a professional athlete without that mentality. But going into that and still having that mentality, and the main topic last year, all these podium speeches, the main topic was fun and selling Kawasaki's. I know those were your two biggest things. Going out there, having a good time, having fun riding, and trying to represent yourself and your sponsors in the best way possible. Going into this season, is it still just as fun as it has been your whole career, rather?
Yeah, I feel I'm definitely more fun these last. It's been 2 years, going on 3 with the Babbitt online team, and I mean, I've had more fun here where I'm at now than I have almost my whole career. So, I mean, that's a big part of it, yeah. And then this year I'm still having a heck of a lot of fun, but I've also I feel like I've put in a little more work than I have in the past as well. So, which again, every man and his dog's going to say that. But I guess you don't find out who really puts the work in until after the first couple of races. So this off season for me has been more difficult and tight. I feel like I'm working hard. So it hasn't been. It's been enjoyable, just difficult. So well, I guess we'll see how it goes. But yeah, definitely still having fun riding and all that stuff. So it's been good. Can't complain really. Only thing I can't complain about at the moment is the weather's been a bit crappy, so we've had to drive a little bit more than we normally would during this time of year.
Yeah, and driving to get to the sand to have a place that's rideable. But I mean, speaking of the weather, no one can control that, and I think the starting point this year has been is pretty early as far as when the season's starting, especially when you're talking about starting somewhere like South Carolina, where this is the weather that we see in February in South Carolina. I think it's pretty much expected every year as far as when to start a race, but nevertheless, we are starting this weekend for GNCC, and it is shaping up to be a mudder. A big storm supposed to come through on Thursday to add to what's already been going on. When you see conditions like this, so knowing that Big Buck is more than likely going to be a mud race, is that something that you get excited about? Like, or do you like riding in the mud and getting into that equalizing zone, if you will, of everyone battling those conditions? Or would you rather it be sunshine and no rainbows?
I mean, I don't know, man. This time, the first round it'd be pretty nice to have a nice round, but beggars can't be choosers. So we get to go race after all the problems we had last year with COVID and everything. We looks like those are not in the past, but they're a little further down the track, so we're not having to worry about that as much, I don't think, as far as getting a race to run.
Yep.
So, I mean, if it's muddy, it's muddy. Hopefully we'll get it out of the way and we have some good races towards the end, or once we get into the season. It'd be nice to have a couple of good rounds. But, yeah, a race in February, or almost middle of February in the Carolinas is almost a crazy idea, but it's worked before. It worked last year, and we'll just see how it goes, I guess. Yeah,
and that's the only thing that we can do. But last question here, man, and I really appreciate you taking the time out. I don't want to keep you all night, but just one thing that I've been kind of seeing pop up in comments, and I've actually been messaged about it through the podcast a couple times, is about numbers. Now, we used to see, I think, a lot more riders run their earned number, so their single-digit number. For instance, this year, you would be number 2. You'd be running number 2s on your bike, but from what we've seen, you've still been running the 114. So I just wanted to ask you on behalf of the people that I've seen asking and on behalf of myself as well, how much thought goes into that, like versus running your your number that you've been with versus running your earned number? Is that something that you put some thought into, or is that something that you just, all right, we're sticking with 114?
Yeah, so this year we run, I'll run 114 again this year. And when I first moved to Cowie, we talked about running my number, which that year I can't even remember what it was. And then this year with number 2, I've ran it twice, I think, in the past. And it's been pretty, I mean, I'm not superstitious, but it had been good to me. Like the year I won the championship, I was number 2. And so, I mean, I asked the boys to do a mock-up of graphics, just like a PDF or whatever. So I got to see it, and it looked kind of cool, but Cameron didn't like it all that much, and she's the boss of the household. So, and then I was kind of with her. Like I like the number 2, but I also like the 114 that I've been running now for 6 years, maybe, I think. And then that was also my original number when I moved to the States. So, honestly, the number is what it's. Both of them would be cool. Be cool if I could just pick and choose. But I think a 114 just at the moment suits me, and maybe we'll switch next year. We'll see.
Yeah, well, hopefully be switching next year to the 1. I think that would be one that you and Cam could both agree on. Yeah. I would. I'd be happy to do that. So it's a long season though, so we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. Yeah, for sure. Well, that was just a question that, like I said, I've seen coming up, and I was kind of curious myself. And I knew you had ran the number 2 in the past, but I think where people were expecting some big complex meaning behind it, maybe sometimes people's wives just don't like the way it looks.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes that's how it goes. Happy wife, happy life.
There you go. But man, Josh, really appreciate you taking the time out to speak with me, and we're looking forward to seeing you race this year and seeing you race this weekend, and wishing you the best of luck. And just thanks again for your time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no worries. Thanks for calling up.
Yep. We'll talk to you.
Yep.